The silence in advanced xenobiology was absolute. Professor Kethavar's obsidian carapace gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights as his compound eyes swept across the lecture hall, examining each student with the calculating precision of his species' evolutionary heritage. The Zephyrian was a perfect predator, 8 feet of chitinous armor, razor-sharp mandibles, and reflexes that could track a photon's path. In the Galactic Academic Consortium, Zephyrians were feared as much as they were respected. As I was explaining, Kethavar's voice resonated through his thoracic chambers, creating an ominous harmonic that made several students' breathing apparatus flutter nervously. The primitive species of Sol 3 demonstrate fascinating yet crude survival mechanisms. Their fight-or-flight response is particularly amusing. The holographic display showed grainy footage of early human warfare, crude projectile weapons, chemical explosives, and what the professor dismissively categorized as barely controlled aggression. A few Altarian students chittered softly, their crystalline forms refracting the light in patterns that indicated mild amusement. Note how they compensate for their inferior physiology with what they call tools, Kethavar continued, his mandibles clicking in what passed for Zephyrian laughter. No natural armor, no enhanced sensory organs, no specialized hunting appendages. Truly evolution's most pathetic experiment. In the back corner of the lecture hall, Marcus Chen sat perfectly still. The human exchange student had grown accustomed to these lectures over the past semester. As the only representative of his species in the consortium's most prestigious university, he'd endured countless dissertations on humanity's limitations. His dark eyes remained fixed on his datapad, stylus moving in steady strokes as he took notes. Their emotional volatility is perhaps their greatest weakness, Kethavar continued, his voice dropping to what he believed was a menacing whisper. The sound still carried clearly through the hall's acoustic design. Unable to suppress their primitive responses, they become predictable, controllable. Marcus's stylus paused for just a moment. Professor, a Centaurian student near the front raised one of her forearms, her blue-scaled features creased with curiosity. If humans are so primitive, how did they achieve faster-than-light travel? Their inclusion in the consortium suggests a statistical anomaly, Kethavar interrupted, his compound eyes focusing on the student with predatory intensity. Blind luck combined with their tendency toward reckless experimentation. Nothing more. The professor activated another hologram, this one showing human colonies scattered across known space. Observe how they spread like a plague, establishing settlements in the most hostile environments. This isn't adaptability, it's desperation, the actions of a species that knows it doesn't belong among the stars. Marcus set down his stylus. His head tilted slightly, and for the first time in the semester, a sound escaped his lips. It started as a low chuckle. The acoustics of the hall, designed to carry even the subtlest pheromone communications of gaseous species, amplified the sound. It rolled across the lecture hall like distant thunder, causing several students to instinctively activate their personal defense shields. Kethavar's compound eyes locked onto Marcus with laser focus. Something amusing, human? Marcus leaned back in his chair, and the chuckle evolved into genuine laughter. Not the nervous titter of an intimidated prey species, not the harmonic resonance of a superior intellect expressing mild amusement. This was something else entirely, deep, rich, and utterly unafraid. Statistical anomaly, Marcus repeated, his voice carrying clearly across the now silent hall. That's what you called it. He stood slowly, his movement fluid and controlled. Every predator species in the room recognized the posture. It was the stance of something that had never learned to be prey. Professor, you mentioned that humans compensate for inferior physiology with tools, Marcus continued, still smiling. Would you like to know what tools we brought to your consortium? Before Kethavar could respond, Marcus gestured to his datapad. The device projected a holographic display that replaced the professor's educational materials. The new image showed the Zephyrian homeworld. Kepler 442b, Marcus said conversationally. Your species evolved in a gravity well 2.3 times that of Earth. Your atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, 19% oxygen, 3% trace gases. Average temperature 15 degrees Celsius. Your star is a G-type main sequence, remarkably similar to Sol. The image zoomed in, showing Zephyrian cities in perfect detail. This footage was taken 6 hours ago by one of our primitive survey drones, Marcus continued. It's currently in a stable orbit 400 kilometers above your primary population center. The lecture hall had become a vacuum of sound. Even the artificial atmosphere recyclers seemed to pause. The drone is equipped with what we call a statistical anomaly. Marcus's smile widened. A quantum displacement device capable of rearranging matter at the subatomic level. Theoretical yield, sufficient to crack a planet's crust. Kethavar's mandibles had frozen mid-click. But here's the fascinating part. Marcus continued, his voice maintaining that same conversational tone. We didn't put it there as a threat. We put it there because when we asked your government for permission to attend your university, they said no. So we simply asked more persuasively. He gestured again, and the display showed similar drones. In orbit around dozens of worlds, every homeworld of every species represented in the consortium. You see, Professor, you're absolutely right about one thing. We are emotional. We do respond primitively to threats. But you made one small error in your analysis. Marcus's laughter had stopped, but his smile remained. It was the smile of a species that had climbed from the bottom of the food chain, not through superior evolution, but through superior stubbornness. You assumed that meant we were prey. The silence stretched for another moment before Marcus gathered his materials and walked toward the exit. As he reached the door, he paused and looked back at the frozen tableau of professor and students. Oh, and Professor, those drones aren't weapons. They're archaeology tools. We use them to study dead civilizations. He stepped through the doorway, his footsteps echoing in the corridor beyond. The midterm better be fair or things might get emotional. The door sealed behind him, leaving the lecture hall in perfect, terrified silence. Kethavar's compound eyes remained fixed on the holographic display, where dozens of human drones continued their silent orbits, patient as death itself. For the first time in his evolutionary history, a perfect predator understood what it meant to be hunted